Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the 808 podcast where I interview business owners, CEOs, and whoever else I feel like. It is 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. And here we go. Question number one, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Well, thank you, Bob. My name is John Francis. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My nickname was given to me as Johnny Franchise. And it's kind of a long story, but I work in the franchise industry. I've been a franchisor, I've been a franchisee, I've been a supplier to the franchise industry for more than 30 years. I grew up in a franchise company that my family had, and I've owned and operated a number of different businesses on my own over those years. And I've also been a consultant, advisor, board member, investor, done a lot of different things. I've probably worked with over 50 different franchise brands over the last probably 20 years.
Love it, John/Johnny, whichever one we go with here. Question number two, what advice do you want to share?
I want to share advice for people who own franchise units, how to be a better franchisee. I'm a big believer in franchising, and when it's done well, everybody wins. So the advice I would share is about being a better franchisee.
So go for it. Give me some examples.
Go ahead. How to do that? You bet.
Yes.
Well, the number one thing as a franchisee is you bought this business. So remember, you don't just work there, you own it. And as a franchisee, you really need to have that ownership attitude and the commitment to get it done, whatever it takes. You're responsible for the results, good or bad, as the owner. Other tip as a franchisee is to fully engage in that franchise brand. Follow their system, especially in the beginning, the first few months, first few years of your business experience as a franchisee. You just want to implement and not experiment. You really want to do everything you can to follow the model completely, learn everything you can about the business from the franchisor and other franchisees. Stay close, stay connected, stay engaged, and really just try to learn and understand how to do it all and how to do it well. That comes over time. As you mature as a franchisee and you're in the business for a few years, things kind of change and other things start to matter a little differently. Building your team, building your scale, building your growth. A lot of people want to get into multiple units or different locations. That's a whole new dimension of growth. It's a great way to grow when you're ready for it, but that takes a different set of skills and a really different level of capacity. Then as you grow and mature again, things kind of change and evolve. And as a franchisee, you really have to stay sharp and stay connected again, kind of at a different level and really with some different motivations to protect and really build what you've already got. And then there's kind of the fourth phase, I call it the legacy phase, where you really want to protect and then transition carefully out of that business. Don't leave that to chance. You're gonna leave that business one way or the other. Hopefully it's successfully and on your terms and with a plan and an outcome that is something you really want to have happen, not something that happens to you. So as a franchisee, there's a lot to be paying attention to. There's a lot of benefits in being in that franchise because the system is proven, the brand is available, and it's going to constantly improve and innovate. Your job is to stay connected and stay focused on implementation and execution as a franchisee.
Absolutely there. Now, you mentioned earlier that you said make sure you follow the system, and you've been in franchising so long. Can you give me an example of someone who didn't follow the system and the consequences of that?
Yes, I can give you an example of a franchisee who was building a retail store. This was a brand I was involved with. It was basically pack and ship and print and copy. Think of a business service center kind of a model. Great brand, great business, had a great run with that company. I had a franchisee who decided they wanted to include a conference room in their store because this guy had done some other consulting and he wanted to have a workspace in his store to do his other consulting work. And he didn't tell me, he didn't ask me, obviously. I showed up watching his construction and saying, where's that wall going? Why is that in here? It wasn't in the blueprints when I saw it. This guy put in a conference room and he made a few other bad choices and he really modified the model. And what he didn't understand is he was committing himself to bigger expenses and bigger overhead that really didn't generate revenue.
Right.
And he really kind of sandbagged his success. There was no way, well, it was going to be very difficult for him to make positive cash flow based on those modifications that he decided to do for himself, his own location.
Right.
He ran that business about 6 months, realized he was in way over his head and couldn't change it. he wanted to close the business. So I wound up buying it, and I tore out those walls and reconfigured that store back to what it should have been and turned it over and sold it again to a better operator who followed that model and continued to have success.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, extra rooms are not cheap.
No, especially at retail, class A, grocery store anchored square footage. That's expensive real estate.
That is
You do
very
not put in a conference room that you really don't need with that kind of
absolutely.
overhead. But
I
the
love
guy
it.
made a
So hey,
mistake and it cost him.
it did. So there. Let's get to question number 3. What other top CEOs, business owners, or influencers that you know are successful, like yourself, that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'm a big fan of a guy in franchising called Eric Van Horn. He's out in South Dakota. He's a younger guy. He's very excitable. He's doing some great things in franchising, helping franchisors, helping franchisees. I've been watching him and watching his work. I think he's a real giver and seems to be a very successful guy. I kind of like to watch what he's doing. And then I would give a shout out to some of my clients, a guy named Todd Hopkins, who runs a brand called Office Pride down in Tampa, Florida. They're doing great things with their commercial cleaning, janitorial franchising. Office Pride is a great model for people who are looking for a franchise to buy. I would consider that one of the best of the handful that I work with.
Awesome. I'll look them up there. Number 4, final fun question. John A., tell me about your first sale.
I want to think about the first sale, the first time I sold a franchise. And this was some time ago back in a hair salon franchise. This was a brand I worked with that was a low price, quick service franchise. And I was doing franchise development. My lead was in Ohio. So I had worked this guy these days, back those days, it was over the phone, right? There really wasn't anything like this going on. And he qualified and we had a few calls. And I actually went to go visit him in Ohio to look at real estate and make sure he was kind of the right fit for our brand. He was a young guy, very careful, very thoughtful, very analytical. He had earned some money doing some other things and was looking to buy a franchise to really step up as an entrepreneur. He bought the franchise, we supported him, trained him, and he did a great job. He ran that franchise for at least 5 years. I moved on from that role, but I know he was having success with his business. And there's something about when people make the commitment to buy a franchise, they're spending a lot of time and a lot of money. It's a big commitment. So when you can help someone facilitate that decision and you have confidence that it's the right decision for them and that they're the right fit for the brand and the business and everything about it, I mean, it's a comprehensive sales process. So the first time I did that, I think I was probably 23 years old, pretty young executive out of college, and really had a lot of fun with it and really enjoyed that experience.
Perfect. Hey, you got 18 seconds left. You want some promo time real quick?
Well, thank you. My website is johnnyfranchise.com. I've got a lot of great resources for people interested in franchising, mostly targeted to help people with their franchise. I really don't sell franchises. I'm not a matchmaker for franchise brokers or anything.
And Johnny,
like
that is it. There you go. You pulled it off. 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. Say your website one more time real quick.
johnnyfranchise.com.
It's in the description. It's magic. Johnny, thank you so much for being on. Tip of the hat to you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for everyone else watching or listening, I am legally required to tell you to like, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, whatever the social media network tells you to do. This is Bob Clark. You all have a wonderful day. Now, talk to you later. Bye.